What's your reaction to the Knicks reportedly being LeBron's first, reportedly isn't the right word, but according to Bill Simmons, LeBron's first choice?
That's a lie. That's not true. It's just that simple. Mad respect to Bill Simmons. I've got tremendous respect for him, his basketball knowledge, his sources, and the whole bit. That's not casting any aspersions on him whatsoever. We get along very, very well. I got a lot of respect for him, but, I can't. Listen, I'm not about to my own on. I don't have to be quite honest with you. But I was a beat writer for many, many years, and then after that, I was an NBA insider for ESPN, for years as well. I had left ESPN for a couple of years. I was working on Fox Sports Radio, and everybody in the nation knows that I broke the story that LeBron James was going to South Beach while I was working for Fox Sports Radio. By the way, I did it in over a week before his announcement. Okay, so this notion that the Knicks and everybody else had a chance, LeBron and everybody, they can choose to tell the truth. They can choose to deny it. People could sit up there and say what they want about me or whatever, but it is universally known who broke the story that LeBron James was going to South Beach, and that person would be me. And I knew it at least a couple of weeks in advance. Why? Because LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade had plotted for this to happen. Not only did I report that LeBron James was going to Miami, which was a big enough story in and of itself, I reported that Chris Bosh was going with him to join D-Wade. I also reported that it was never supposed to be Chris Bosh, that it was supposed to be Carmelo Anthony. But back in 2007, when they were scheduled to re-up and do deals, LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade signed deals, or at least two of the three signed deals that gave them an out in 2010. I had my television show, quite frankly, on from 2005 to 2007. Carmelo Anthony came in as a guest. I asked him on live television at that time, why did you take the 5-year deal as opposed to having an opt-out like LeBron and D-Wade were going to do? And he said, man, I couldn't pass up on that guaranteed money. I'm from Baltimore. The money ain't, tomorrow ain't guaranteed. Anything could happen. I had to make sure I got my money fully guaranteed, as opposed to put myself, because Denver was going to squeeze him. They said, listen, we'll give you the money, but you're not getting it if you're going to exercise an opt-out clause. We don't want that. So you either take the whole 5 years, otherwise, you know what? You're not going to get this money that we putting on the table. We're not going to put that on the table. That's why Carmelo Anthony locked in for the 5 years, which compromised his ability to be a free agent in 2010, because if Carmelo Anthony had an elect to go for the money, Carmelo Anthony would have been with D-Wade and LeBron in Miami instead of Chris Bosh. These are all the things that I reported back then. These are all the things that have come that have come to pass. People can sit up there and tell whatever narratives. I'm sure Bill Simmons or anybody else for that matter, because he's not the only one that has said what he said. But the bottom line is, I know that I'm not questioning that they've been told this. I'm certainly not accusing them of making anything up or whatever. But I said before, and I'll say it again, if y'all think for 1 second that it was a last-minute decision that LeBron James had decided to go to Miami, all I'm going to tell you is go back to the archives. I reported more than a week earlier he was going to South Beach with Chris Bosh, that the decision had been made considerably earlier. That's what ended up happening. If anybody else wants to go out there and believe that it was some last-minute decision that the New York Knicks really had a shot, no, they did not, especially since they had let go of Isaiah Thomas. You have Mike D'Antoni with Donnie Walsh. LeBron didn't necessarily have a relationship with those individuals. As a result, there was nobody there to cultivate that relationship and to have that kind of thing that made him comfortable. New York wasn't an option. It was about Cleveland. It was about Miami, plain and simple.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with it. I remember you broke the story. I was working at CNN at the time, and you had it first, and you had it early. I don't know that whatever information Bill has, who's, love Bill Simmons.
Yes, we do.
Whoever is telling him what, or however he found that out, I would say that it's not that, to my understanding, that the Knicks were it, and then they had the disastrous meeting, and then they weren't it. It's more my understanding that the meeting was such a disaster that the Knicks were a non-factor after that. But even before that, Stephen A., like that could be true that the Knicks meeting was a disaster. And by the way, why was it a disaster? Because the Knicks didn't cut Pat Riley in for a little piece of the team. You cut Pat Riley in for a little piece of the team years before that, and the whole Miami legacy, everything that's happened to the Heat, happens to the Knicks instead. But the Dolans played
correct.
Pat Riley cheap, if not dirty, and thus
Dave, check it,
see
Max.
the history of the Knicks versus the Heat. Sorry, what's that, Stephen A.?
I said Dave Checketts. It wasn't really about Dolan's father. Dolan's father was running the show,
Right, okay.
But Dave Checketts was running Madison Square Garden, and he was the one that Pat Riley felt reneged on a promise to Pat Riley.
Right. So there's that. But I think in a larger sense, Simmons is right from this point of view, Stephen A., not with respect to that specific story and the timeline and the cause and effect of it all. But the Knicks had been so poorly managed since Riley didn't get the deal he thought he was going to get. And even if that wasn't the understanding, give him the deal, dummies. Look what just Pat Riley let walk out the door. Human resources is what any corporation has, right? Any organization has. Human resources. When the Lakers didn't have Jerry West anymore and then Phil Jackson, et cetera, how did the Lakers do, right? Well, the same thing with the Knicks, only they never had the great history to begin with, post Clyde Frazier and Willis Reed. When you think of where the Knicks were at the time of the decision, Stephen A., why would someone go there? You know how many trades and situations there were, like Marcus Camby and Antonio McDyess, who wound up in Denver for the remains of Antonio McDyess. Let's say Marcus Camby and Nene, rather, for the remains of Antonio McDyess. Well, what if the Knicks had Marcus Camby and Nene and this one and that one? Like all the bad moves the Knicks have made. Then it's a much more attractive destination. The cupboards were bare in New York. There was no one steering the ship that the players trusted or had any cachet, as you would say, or magnetism.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.